Are you ready to get your feet wet? Because this is the Knowledge Pool, hosted by Gathering Information. We're here to bring you a casual conversation between friends about everything to do with collecting, trading, and playing Magic the Gathering.
I am Tams.
I am Step.
And I am Laura.
So put on your bathing suits and dive right into the Knowledge Pool. Hello and welcome to episode 35 of the Knowledge Pool.
Nice.
Thanks. Hi Tams, how's it going?
It's alright. How are you guys doing?
I'm alright. Laura, how are you?
Having a magical evening, as usual.
Yes, we should really, play some Commander or something now that our table is clear.
We played about 3 rounds of League.
That's true. And yeah, we can talk about that.
Oh, we will.
And I'm Step, in case people forgot who I was.
So we are in a new recording space, and I really want to see if I can take this piece off my desk, because it's...
We can't take it off and not replace it with anything, but we can take it off. So, yeah, we'll figure it out.
My knee keeps brushing against this metal piece, and there's no other way to sit.
Yeah.
And it's clacking, and making me crazy.
We'll just sit as still as a statue for an hour, Tams.
Sure, I'll get right on that.
Of course, that's the answer. So how is everybody?
Good-ish, I guess it's been a week with a bunch of magic in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something.
The weather's turned nice and autumny.
It has. It's
Which
going to
is
be snowing tomorrow.
Fine, because it's November, so it's about time.
Yeah.
I love the autumn. So good. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we want to start today? I think we're going to start with news, yes?
Well, let's get the news over with, just because there's not super a lot happening.
Let's do that.
All right.
Okay, so first of all, coming up shortly is a kind of new Buy a Box promo plan. Mm-hmm. So around Black Friday, which is the American Thanksgiving thing.
Yeah.
If you buy a box of Ixalan, you will get a special treasure chest Buy a Box promo pack, which includes a couple of special things, including a promo flip card from Ixalan.
Does it look like a treasure chest? Because if not, I'm a little disappointed.
I mean, if you want to pull it up on your screen,
it's just a pack, isn't it?
Basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, you're ripping it open pretty quickly anyway to see if you manage to find a Search for Escanta or something like that. But if you're going to buy a box, that might be the best time to do so.
It's true.
Otherwise, this probably doesn't affect you. Next up, we got the full From the Vault spoilers. So this includes the fact that they actually are going to be reprinting and including all 5 of the Flip Planeswalkers from Origins.
Was I surprised?
I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that they happened to choose Liliana to be on the front, which is the reason that she was spoiled initially. But, instead of one of the more topical ones. But I guess it makes sense because they had a blue card and they had a red-green card, so...
Yeah.
Color balance on the cover, yeah.
To give some context here, there was yet another leak on the Wizards website where the box art went up and then immediately got taken down. But it almost feels like somebody actually just pulled a prank, because to me, so Liliana was on the box with the 2 cards that they meant to spoil. But to me, it feels like if there had been some other Planeswalker on the box from the Origin 5, it would have been like, that's a weird include. Like, if Chandra had been on the box, really? Chandra? But with Liliana, it was just sort of, oh, okay, I guess that's the one we're getting.
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about that last week. Why her? She doesn't see much play. She's not that good.
Right, but it also felt like, yeah, I can see them including that. Whereas if it was like...
I mean, they did include the black Ixalan flip card instead of the blue or green one or white one.
That does seem weird.
Actual play. So, I mean, again, I think it's great. I think everybody's going to be really happy that they have the option now to get a Jace if they want one, assuming they can find one of these at a decent price.
I really want to buy one, if only for Bloodline Keeper.
I don't know. I'm just kind of wary because I know the foiling process means that the cards aren't necessarily that great long-term, like, for actual playing. So I'd probably rather just spend $60 on enjoying things instead of keeping things in a box in my closet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But, I certainly don't begrudge those people who do want the chance to get this.
It's disappointing that this stuff is coming out now when the print quality has been...
That's true.
So poor. I'm trying to find a way to sit that is not smashing, but it's really uncomfortable.
Do you want to sit over here?
No, because it's going to be worse for you because your legs are 12 times longer than mine.
Oh.
Just sit like I am, which is cross-legged.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. All right, is there anything else in the news?
Yes. They've also released the full deck lists for the quasi-card game, quasi-board game Explorers of Ixalan, the 4-player kind of Magic Settlers of Catan thing.
Kind of thing.
The Meta Magic board game?
Yes. So it seems like they've actually, gone kind of full out on value. The decks are definitely worth at least the retail price.
Well, that's good to know.
In actual, monetary value.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you think that you might have fun playing this with a group of friends, maybe people who aren't that familiar with Magic or who really like playing Settlers, and then you might be able to get some use out of the cards later, it seems like it would be a good fit. I'm not really sure who they're marketing this for.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of thing. I don't know that they know who they're marketing it for, but it's something that they thought would sell some copies, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, we've talked about this before, especially you and I, Step. It's just that there's so much other stuff coming out. Like, Unstable's coming out in a week or two.
Like, that's where my money, if I had any, would be going.
Yeah, and if not... I mean, it's getting into Christmas season. Everybody's going to be buying Christmas presents. Are you buying this as a Christmas present for your Magic playing friend?
Oh, God. I hope this isn't the replacement for the holiday gift box.
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, I could see it, though. Like, this is a self-contained game-ish thing that people could buy rather than a gift box.
And that's true. But, so, I'm just confused, and also, I'm concerned about the number of products coming out as usual. I guess just the last year or two, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This is different from Arch Enemy how? Like, we can all agree pretty much that this is somehow different from Arch Enemy in that Arch Enemy is a thing that Magic players would probably want to
play at least once
again.
or twice,
and this seems to be somehow separate. Yes?
I think this feels more casual to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But also it feels like there's a lot more politics involved, which makes me even less likely to want to play it. Because there's no politics in Arch Enemy.
Yeah, that's true. Or in Plane Chase, for that matter.
Yeah.
It just seems like this is somehow different from both Arch Enemy and Plane Chase. You know?
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. And then, probably lastly, but most importantly, we had the Pro Tour last weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah. Pro Tour Ixalan. Of course.
Of course. So, on the minus side, half the decks were energy of various sorts.
Who saw that coming?
And literally everybody.
I think I heard that 48% of the decks were Ixalan.
I'm rounding. So, once again, proving that energy is a pretty strong parasitic mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
So, on the plus side, they really did a good job finding interesting feature matches to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It helped that half of the field, approximately, was not running energy decks.
Yeah. And we're running, like, weird things, not all the same stuff.
Yeah, there's some approach lists, gift to the god pharaoh, obviously Ramanap red types of things.
Vampires list.
A mono white vampire breakout list of the day.
That sounds really interesting. Mono white vampires.
Yep.
It does, doesn't it?
Mardu
cool.
vehicles, one of which actually made it to the top 8.
That's amazing. They're still around and still chugging.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, it's not the same deck as the
no,
vehicles that was
no.
against
Of course not.
Saheeli, but yeah.
So, not only were there a pretty diverse list of decks showing up in the feature matches, also in the top 8. It wasn't just Teamer Energy like it was last Pro Tour with just ramen and bread, basically. So
I also wanted to mention, so I listen to a lot of Magic podcasts, and of course, the Pro Tour was on the list for most of them to discuss.
Of course.
And it is what the way they talked about the Pro Tour was wildly different depending on who was talking about it and what they wanted to get out of it. And that's not the case usually. Like, usually the people have basically the same things to say because they get basically the same thing out of the content.
Yeah.
And this time it just felt like different people had wildly different experiences watching the coverage.
Well,
so
yeah, I mean, I know that I'm kind of, like, on the plus side, I'm glad that it was interesting to watch. I'm not going to watch it because I hate all of the blank space in between the rounds. I'd much rather watch it on a VOD later on.
Yeah, me too. That's why I don't watch documentaries.
Yeah, for sure. So, so I'm glad that it was interesting, but on the other hand, it did literally nothing to shake up Standard or make Standard interesting. We're a month and a half into this format. Nobody was expecting anything really to change. Nothing really did change. I
mean, I'd be interested in trying the Vampires list, even though it didn't do super well.
Yeah, but you can always find interesting tier 2 licks that, spike a GP or something like that. So it's, I just think it's kind of what were you wanting to get out of it, and the people who wanted change were disappointed.
That's fair.
Like, I think it's pretty obvious we're going to be stuck with some form of energy list being a tier 1 deck, and maybe the tier 1 deck until Kaladesh rotates out in a year.
Yeah.
Like,
ugh, that's depressing.
Does it? So they're back to things rotating once a year.
Well, Kaladesh will have been in for 2 years.
Okay.
At that point.
I'm trying to get my head around why they aren't doing a rotation every 6 months.
Because then you would have to buy new cards every 6 months, and nobody's going to do that.
But the problem with the original change to the Standard rotation was that cards were not in Standard as long, and not that people had to change their deck more frequently. It's that if you had a deck you liked, you couldn't play it for 2 years. Well, I just feel like...
Basically, the problem is that people stop playing Standard. Because nobody, especially the casual players, like to have to go and update their deck every couple of months. Because it costs money and it takes time, and then they have to learn the deck again. They might not like it as much. But, especially given the new...
I just feel like if we spread out rotations so that... I mean, after the new changes, 4 whole different sets aren't rotating out all at the same time. That's going to be a problem. Like, it's already been a problem for me that there was never a time where I got to play Shadows over Innistrad block stuff in Standard, because Battle for Zendikar was always there. So it would make sense for me for Kaladesh to move out when there's 2 sets to replace it, not when Kaladesh and Amonkhet both move out at the same time.
Yeah, I
know what I mean?
I understand your point, but they've already tried something different with rotation. People stopped coming, so they changed it back.
I still maintain that's more because Standard was dreadful at that period of time. It was just absolutely dreadful.
We are ourselves not mainly Standard players, so we may not be the right audience for this, but honestly, if you told me, Laura, you have to make a new Standard deck for every 6 months because half your cards will be rotating out, I would.
But that's not what I'm saying.
No,
because
but
half your cards
that's not what you're saying. That would be what I'm hearing.
But half your cards don't rotate out.
Maybe they do. When Kaladesh rotates out, the entire energy deck is going.
Yeah, but that'll be a good thing.
Not for those people who bought into it and enjoy playing it.
But they'll have still gotten it for the whole 2-year span of time.
If they've been playing it for the full 2 years?
Yeah, but that would have been the case anyway. That doesn't change at all. All I'm saying is that way both Kaladesh and Amonkhet wouldn't rotate out at the same time, and the people who like Amonkhet cards would actually get more time to play with them.
Like I said, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that, first of all, Wizards has tried changing things and they didn't like the results. And second of all, when you say that to somebody, it's tough to sell them on it. Because basically what they're hearing is, I have to buy a new Standard deck twice as often. Regardless of whether or not that's the truth. That's what they hear. What do you think, Tams? Any strong opinions?
No.
Well, no, it's not even that. It depends on what side of the block your deck is on. Like, if you happen to get into the stuff that's rotating in 6 months...
You're out of luck?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're out of luck either way at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. What I do hate is when Standard has that one, like, pack rat.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for 2 solid years for it to go away.
Or Gideon, yeah.
Yes, and I find that dreadful. That drives me away from Standard, but I don't know what the answer is, so...
Play draft.
Standard? Yeah.
Yeah, limited!
Modern!
No.
So, interestingly, I've been watching some of the recent, like, SCG tours and stuff like that. They've had Modern and Legacy. Things are kind of interesting. I mean, Modern's been in a fairly good place for the last,
a while.
6 months or something like that. Basically, since the Kiki ban, don't kill me, people who are upset with that. So there's, just been some interesting decks. And even in Legacy, I saw a couple of people who are running slightly interesting variations on the regular Legacy decks, and like one person was playing humans and it included a couple of like kite sail freebooters from Ixalan,
interesting
things like that. So if you're not playing Standard, it looks like you might be having fun.
Yeah,
sure.
Speaking of not playing Standard but still having fun, let's move right along to what we did this week in Magic.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, wasn't Standard.
Yeah.
Oh boy, was it not.
So we have been in our new location, Tams and I, for a month now?
A month.
Yep.
And we hadn't had people over yet because we were still getting things set up. But this past weekend, it was finally time for a housewarming, and in our case, that meant a draft.
Of course it did.
So we had people over for drafting the magical cards, and for something kind of awesome.
Wacky.
It was fun.
Off the wall.
I don't know if there are dollar stores everywhere that do this, but at our dollar stores, you can get 15 card booster packs that are guaranteed to have a rare, or they say guaranteed to have a rare, and they're just repackages from whatever they have lying around that isn't worth money.
Draft.
Yeah. So I have been getting these, 1 or 2 at a time for months. Until we had 36 packs.
So we're not getting the same not print run, but a gather run, I guess.
Yeah, because if you buy a bunch at the same time, you'll notice that they have all the same kind of stuff in them. Because I assume people are just buying old boxes, cracking them for value, and then selling off the stuff that isn't worth anything.
$1,000 for $1 or whatever.
Yeah. But we finally got enough for a draft, which isn't 36, but I don't feel like doing math right now.
24.
Thank you. And we had a draft of them. And we got such random sets as like Innistrad, Khans of Tarkir, M13, Unhinged. So it was amazing.
I think my favorite was when there's 15 cards per pack. One of the packs had 2 basic planes with the same art from the same set. So there were multiple packs that had duplicates going around.
And sometimes they were duplicates of really weird, unplayable cards like Living Tsunami.
Yes, isn't that unplayable? Step.
Well, I'm not saying I didn't run it in my deck.
That's okay. One pack had 2 copies of Tidy Conclusion, which in this format is incredibly playable.
That seems pretty sweet. Yeah.
So shall we talk about what we did?
Well, we drafted, obviously.
We did. But what did we draft? How did we draft?
How did we do?
I think I went 2-1. I don't remember because it's a week ago. I'm going to say I went 2-1.
Sure. What'd you draft?
I drafted blue-black stuff.
You're kind of blue splashing black.
Yeah, blue flyers with... There weren't enough blue 2-drops, so I needed some black 2-drops. But I've got, like, Sky Eel School, which is from Scars of Mirrodin, which is a 3/3 flyer that, when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and discard a card.
That's really good.
5
for 5.
Yeah. Seems sweet.
Murder of Crows, which is a flying 4/4 for the same price. that whenever another creature dies, you may loot, which also is super good.
Yeah.
The Living Tsunami was a 4/4 flyer that at the beginning of your upkeep... For 4. Sacrifice it unless you return a land you control to its owner's hand. So, honestly, that didn't matter. Like, I was perfectly fine to keep playing my land. And could have comboed with some stuff, but I didn't have any of it. I was just running, like, a 5/5 flyer for 4 that you have to sacrifice it if it gets targeted. You know, just flyers, basically. Yeah.
And
flyers and a few morphs.
Bit of blue removal.
I think the weirdest card was Magical Hacker. 1 in a blue for a 1/2 human gamer. And you can pay a blue and change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of plus with minus and vice versa until end of turn.
What is that from?
It's from Unhinged.
That makes more sense in my brain now.
Would you like to read the flavor text?
If you can read this, you are a...
Geek.
I can't read the word before geek.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, it's printed in lead.
Which is funny. Yeah.
Super lead.
So how did you feel the deck played out?
It was fun. I wish I'd had a little more removal, but that was going, fairly highly.
Sorry.
I did have something called Chime of Night, which is an enchant creature for 1 and a black, and when Chime of Night is put into the graveyard from play, destroy target non-black creature. So that kind of gave one of my things unblockable for a while.
And how did you feel about the drafting experience?
It was weird and amazing. I was hoping that it would be good and that people would want to do it again. And it seems like they did. Everyone seemed to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, it was so fun.
It was a relaxed draft. Like
yeah.
Nobody seemed to care how their decks were by the end of it.
I mean, there's nothing on the line.
Yeah.
We were all playing for fun.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was with a group of people. We knew almost everybody there pretty well. Everybody's very relaxed.
It had the feeling of a sort of a non-powered cube, but almost more like it wasn't even a grab bag draft. It just felt like a new set that you don't know the cards from, because we were looking for synergies and sometimes finding them, and that was cool. And I just
synergies. I found synergies.
Did you? Why don't you tell us about your deck?
Okay, so I first picked a Stab Wound. Because it's always a good card, right?
In almost any pack I ever find a Stab Wound, it's going to be my first pick.
Yeah, so I love black anyway, so, So what I wound up with was black with kind of a 4-card splash and 1 colorless card for value. So, removal, which is always hard in this kind of thing to find it generally, I ran a Stab Wound, a Tidy Conclusion, a Crippling Blight, a Viper's Kiss, Farika's Cure, Consecrated by... Oh, no, that's not removal. Well, it was kind of removal. In that it +2/+2 and smacked them in the face. A Covenant of Blood and a Scour from Existence.
Oh, you're the one who ended up with a Scour from Existence.
Yeah, I did, and I ran it, and I played it every time. So I went 2-1. So for creatures, what wound up happening for me is... I had a Freak is Chosen, which is just... super sweet.
It's fine.
But in the middle of everything, I had this sweet 4-card synergy. I had an Ondu War Cleric, a Cliffside Lookout, a Zulaport Chain Mage, and a Spawnbinder Mage, which are all allies. One of them taps an untapped ally to tap a creature. One taps an untapped ally, and the opponent loses 2 life. And the other one is pay 5, and creatures you control get +1/+1. So,
but it's an ally.
Yeah, and then the other ally card is you gain 2 life, which I never bothered with. But I was also running a Despoiler of Souls, Servant of Nephrox, a Bloodtoll Harpy, Unyielding Kumar, Stallion of Ashmouth, which is really quite sweet.
I always liked that in Shadows. I always thought people underdrafted it, but that might just be because I drafted Green Black Delirium literally every time.
I had a Charging Griffin, a Rabid Bloodsucker. I ran a Rotfeaster Maggot.
I ran that in my very first M15 draft, and it was fine.
It was fine, and then a Kozilek's Pathfinder, which was perfectly good, and a Mortuary Mire because it came by and it allowed me to pull back a creature. And
cool.
It was super sweet. I got my butt kicked once, and that was because of somebody else, Laura.
What?
I don't know what you're talking about. But 2-1.
And how did you enjoy your drafting?
Oh, I loved it. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh. It was one of those, okay, I've got a really sweet black card. I'm going to see about building around black, see what's coming to me. Because with this kind of thing, you don't know. It's even harder than, this is a new set, because at least you know the packs are going to be somewhat, or supposed to be somewhat balanced.
Yeah.
Whereas this, we could wind up with 7 red cards in 2 packs and then never see another color. So,
really, I felt they were kind of.
They wound up.
They were pretty balanced.
You can't get, like, there's no guarantee we got
there's no guarantee.
2 planes in one.
Right.
That was funny.
So I decided to kind of go in early, stay in, and
that's what I decided too. I just latched onto a color.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, while we're, just talking about it. So, Steph, you were basically mono blue.
Yeah.
Tams, you were basically mono black.
Yeah.
At the table, there was also a mono red drafter.
I have that deck here.
And a mono white drafter.
Yeah.
I have both of those decks here, and yeah, they are actually legit mono colored. I think that was a popular strategy, was just latch onto a color, and there was enough just random stuff.
Yeah. There was another really good deck, and it was whatever the most metal name was.
That was funny. He was Jund.
He was Jund. And I expected when he handed it to me for it to be terrible, and then I remembered who the person was, and I knew they weren't going to draft a bad deck anyway.
Yeah, no.
And it was pretty sweet.
He also ended up with an uncarned Mother of Goons.
What does that one do?
It is a 3/2 for 2 and a black human cleric. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from play, sacrifice Mother of Goons unless you insult that creature.
That's amazing.
Okay. I mean, I'd be up for that.
Which he absolutely did every time.
And there's also a player who's running, whose win condition was Scatterverse.
Yes, I have that deck here too.
Which is a card that I think is 7 mana.
Scrambleverse?
Scrambleverse, yeah. So I think it's 7 mana or 8 mana, something like that. It's a red card, and it just says that you basically shuffle together all non-land permanents and deal them out to each player at random.
He was also playing a 5-color deck.
He was playing a 5-color deck.
It was mostly just Naya, but
he had 5 or 6 pieces of fixing.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any trouble with his colors, which is funny.
That's really cool.
So I kind of followed the Tams rule of thumb in that I also first picked a removal spell, Sandblast, which is maybe not quite as good, but it's still 3 mana.
Still pretty good.
Something.
Isn't that a red spell?
No.
It's a white spell.
White. And then I stayed white for a bit, ended up in green-white. I was really happy with how my deck turned out. First of all, I had a lot of +1/+1 counter synergies. I had multiple ways to bolster creatures or support creatures, or I had things that had, what was that Origins draft guide thing, where when it hit them, Renown. I had Renown creatures, and I also had 4 removal spells, something like that.
Did you have anything that cared about +1 counters?
I did. I actually had an instant fight spell where a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it fights target creature at instant speed.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah, it's either 1 in green or just a green.
Okay.
I wasn't sure about running it. I actually didn't in the first round, but then I realized how consistently I was able to get counters on things and decided to just go for it, and it was fine. When I played it, I almost always had a creature with a counter on it. I only actually got to draw it once, so... So yeah, my deck was basically just a green-white honest beatdown deck. I went 3-0. I beat face. I think it was a fair deck, and since other people were trying to play nonsense, it kind of got there. Except Tams, you and I had some back and forth.
Oh yeah, they were good games. I definitely went the middle of the road, dependable, solid, mediocre deck. It was like bred to a T, even though that's completely outdated. But you know what I mean. Like there
was creatures and you had removal.
Absolutely, and I had a good curve and fair land. So it was and it was so much fun. I had such a good time.
Yeah, me too.
So we're definitely gonna do that.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, I don't think I'd buy the packs all at the same time. Because that you run into the samey kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But I will absolutely continue to just get a couple of packs here, a couple of packs there, and put them away for another one of these. Because at, what was it, $24 plus tax for a draft, that is awesome.
For everybody, yeah.
And as far as the rares, I just want to, you're obviously not drafting this for value. People have taken the value out. But like one of the mono red deck had an Ash Zealot, which is a 2/2 first strike haste for red.
Oh my god, that deck was so annoying to play against.
A Falconwrath Marauders, which is a 2/2 flying haste when it deals combat damage to a player, plus put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. So like they're good. Some of them are good playable rares. They're just not worth money.
And what's great for us is like we're keeping most of them because most people didn't bother, but we want to make block constructed cubes, so this is a great way to fill in, especially stuff you haven't played, your random slots. So
because cool. I mean, yes, we'll buy the singles, but if we're going to draft anyway, we might as well roll the lottery. And it's just some of these rares act like rares from a draft where they will absolutely win you games. You know, so it emulates a real pack draft experience fairly well. And I've heard people who I respect stick their nose up at the dollar store draft saying, well, there's no value in that. And I'm just like, whatever, I can draft with it.
I just want to.
It was 3 hours worth of fun?
Oh yeah.
For $3 a head?
Yeah.
I don't care if there's value. I'm playing to play. I think there's, for me, more personal value in drafting in a non-format and having to be creative and still create a workable deck. Yeah. I think that works on my skills more than drafting some high-value, already put-together set, you know? Yeah. So, besides, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a rainbow draft. You get practice in the basics of deck building, keeping track of your curve, prioritizing removal and creatures that do stuff, or trying out a ridiculous concept and seeing how to push it.
And that's what's really fun, is being able to just play cards that you never would have played before.
Which you're not going to do if there's money on the line.
No.
10 out of 10. We'll try again.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So fun.
Yeah.
So next up, what else do we do on Saturday?
Oh, well, you know, it took 3 hours to do the draft, and that was fun. But then most of us decided we weren't done yet. So,
despite this being at about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Well, the bad idea draft, it has a long-standing tradition. One of the players brought his cube because, you know, he likes to take his cube out for a walk every now and then.
And we've talked about this particular cube before in the past because it's the highly powered. It's not actual powered, but it's
non-powered, but it's like it's got all the sweet stuff that you'd want to be in a cube. Yeah. So seven of us decided to go ahead and draft that, and oh man, was that fun!
So Tams, how about you start?
Yes, I jumped into this bad idea draft. I didn't end up playing the rounds because I was just too tired. Also because there was a bye, so I took the bye first, and then by that time I realized this couch is really comfy. I'm just going to stay here.
That's fair.
But the deck that I built was Orzhov, another black-white deck. I wound up in Angels and Removal, Black Removal, and I had, what was the Angelic Destiny? That's the one that creates the 4/4 flyer. I was just like, I've heard about this card, and it looks like so much fun. I'm gonna grab it. So I grabbed it. All sorts of other really sweet cards. I had a decent curve. Looked like a really good deck. I showed it to the person whose cube it is, and he was like, oh, damn, that's a thing. Yeah. But Yeah, I didn't end up playing any rounds. So, how about you guys? How did you do? What did you draft?
I, funnily enough, also ended up in the same colors I had drafted previously. So I went green-white. So it was basically playing green ramp, which is my favorite strategy to play in cube, with green/white gigantic finishers.
Nice.
Seems solid.
It was actually, I think, maybe the best cube deck I've made in the mix of ramp versus payoff spells. Just, it worked out extremely well. I consistently had both my ramp and my finishers when I needed them.
I happen to think that this is a very well-constructed cube.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not the same as, like, the Magic Online cubes, but it's got enough of the same stuff that it's recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I've had that same experience where I don't really have trouble getting what I need.
Yeah, Tams and I were sitting next to each other, and we were both in white.
Yeah. And both had a lot of angel-y stuff. And I think also it helps that the constructor of the cube is very well versed and educated in magic from back in the day right through to current stuff, and really knows how things kind of work together.
He likes to put those little synergies that you don't expect in the cube. Although he does have... what's it? Armageddon.
I was just going to say that's my only complaint.
And I think we have to have a talk with him about that.
I think we should have a talk with Garrett about playing
and tickle him until he takes it out. Yeah, Garrett's a monster.
So, was Garrett not the one who also drafted mono white in the first draft?
No. That was Stuart's friend.
Okay, all right. But he was the mono white drafter in the cube draft.
Cube, boy was he! He had He basically took all the white cards I wanted to wheel.
Yeah.
Because he's a jerk.
Yeah.
So I ended up going 2-0. Had some really fun games, especially against Evan. Actually, he was playing.
Well, he's always fun to play.
He was playing blue, green, 60 cards.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
he was playing blue,
hilarious.
green. I can't decide, so I'm going to make a standard deck. Which he had surprising amount of consistency.
Yeah.
I won in 3, but all 3 games were pretty close. Game 1, I survived Craterhoof at 1 life.
Wow.
And was able to, because I've been gaining life off a Courser of Crucifix.
Wow. Nice.
I gained like 8 life off of this Courser that had just been sitting there on the battlefield because I also had an Oracle.
Yeah.
And I had, Steve and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was able to just survive.
Nice.
But he had like Ronus in there, which was really annoying.
Interesting.
Because
I didn't know that was even in the cube.
It's in the cube.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was good. So anyways, yes, he was playing that. It was just great fun. I really liked the deck. Like I said, I think it was maybe my strongest deck that I made from this particular cube before, just because everything worked out.
So we were looking at the cube, the stuff that was not played that was in the cube, because it's like a 500 card cube, and there were very shockingly few white cards left.
Really?
So
that's why
it does not surprise me that
which is funny because he pre-seeded.
4 of us.
Yeah.
He does seed his packs just to make sure that there's a fairly even spread of colors and colorless cards.
But most of the white stuff just happened
to be in there.
Yeah. So what did you do, Sab?
It doesn't really matter what I did.
Oh yeah, but you had fun doing it?
Well, okay, so I don't remember most of what was in my deck, but I ended up getting most of the stuff for Reanimator, so I decided to go with it. I didn't have any tutors, and I didn't have a lot of discard.
I see.
That was not...
That seems so problematic.
Not really a problem, because I had just enough. And I wasn't really Reanimator. I had 2 ways to go. I was mono black-ish. Like, I started out blue, but then that just wasn't coming.
Yeah.
I started out with Upheaval and trying to grab mana rocks, but there were no mana rocks coming my way. So I defaulted to blue-black and then just straight black.
So you also drafted the same colors.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Of the 3 of us here, we all drafted the same colors in the 2 drafts that we did back-to-back.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, I think that's probably because Tams loves black, I love green, and you love black.
Yeah, probably.
I just know value, that's all.
Yeah. So I ended up taking a bunch of black 1-drops that were just wheeling to me because nobody wants the Suicide Black deck, and then not really running them. I tried to board into that deck a couple of times, but it wasn't quite there. Yeah. My real plan was reanimating Gristlebrand, or cheating out Gristlebrand, and I could also just cheat him out. So in the game I was up against Garrett, the match I was up against the mono white, he upheavaled me the turn before I could get Gristlebrand.
Wait, not you had upheaval. He
Armageddon me the turn before I could get Gristlebrand out, and I'm like, well, that's not gonna work. So that's when I sided into Sui Black, trying to go like under him, and that didn't work either.
No, he had a lot of low.
Yeah, he was disgustingly well drafted. So my second round, because I think we only did the 2, right?
Yeah, because at that point it was 1:30 and everybody wanted to go home.
Right. I was up against blue-white, and I did pretty well, except my opponent always had the answer the turn before I did.
Yeah.
So, like, I got Gristlebrand out, and then he Sakashima studented Gristlebrand, and then killed my Gristlebrand, so I'm like, okay. I'm going to draw 7 anyway, because that's my only way out of this. No. But I had fun.
So that was 4 players playing white at the table?
Yeah.
Including a mono white player?
Yeah, so that tells you how little white was left.
Yeah. God, I love Cube. Cube's my favorite.
It was sure fun.
Yeah, we gotta do that more often.
Agreed.
Anyway.
So after that, I went to League on Tuesday.
And we did not.
I went to the dentist. And it was a nightmare because I'm afraid of the dentist. Yeah. Well, it's more than that. I have a problem with metabolizing the freezing. It wears off way too fast, so I always end up in pain, and it was terrible. I'd rather have been playing Magic.
For sure.
So how did you do?
How'd it go?
I went with a completely different deck.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Which we'll talk about in a second.
Cool.
It felt a lot better. It felt just less fragile, which, again, we'll go into a bit more detail momentarily. But, I went 2-2. I actually defeated the winner, or the person currently in first place, except he is now no longer in first place because he went 3-1 this week.
Nice.
And somebody else has overtaken him just because I beat him. So that was alright.
So up to this point, your deck has been mediocre at best, and you've had a pretty not there pool anywhere.
Yeah, so what we did was Makeup Week is coming up next week.
Yep.
So 2 sets ago, we did a whole let's swap each other's pools and see what we would make out of each of these. And since you guys haven't had the chance to do your games of the week yet, so you don't have your extra pack, we just took a look at my pool because it's the most confusing.
I also feel like, ours, Tams and mine, are just very directional.
Yeah.
Like, we know where we're
Mine is
supposed to go.
Merfolk, that's the end of the story.
And mine is red.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, so you guys took a look to see if you agreed with the deck choices I've made so far. And what do you think?
I am super frustrated with your white.
I know.
Your white is like almost there on 2 separate decks, but not quite. Yeah. I think you have identified the correct deck now. I don't know about before because I didn't see you before opening these packs. But the new direction, like we played 3-4 games.
We're not trying to keep you in suspense.
Sorry.
I have switched from blue-green,
not
merfolk-ish, flying
really blue-green flyers.
Blue-green style.
Yeah.
To red-green dinosaurs, which I was most of the way there for, but then last week I opened up a repeating barrage and a couple of extra red stuff.
It's amazing how much
a second
repeating
Huntmaster
barrage will...
Oh, yeah.
And the Huntmaster.
Yeah, the second Huntmaster. I had one. I decided the second one plus the barrage made it worth taking a second look at.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like I said, it just felt stronger when I was playing it on Tuesday, and since then I opened up another couple of cards from my pack from yesterday. But it just has more removal, which means that like with the Merfolk decks, I just feel like if you get behind, you're gonna lose the game.
That's exactly it. If you fall behind, there's just
and the problem is with League, the further in you get, the more likely you are to fall behind because everybody's deck quality is just going up so much.
Yeah, we played 4 games here with your blue-green deck against your red-green deck.
Yeah.
They don't share any cards, basically.
Basically, yeah.
And the blue-green it didn't have anything to get it out in front. Mm-hmm. And so it always felt like it was behind.
But I think the other problem was that every single game I had a Huntmaster on 2, and turn 3 I was playing a dinosaur with haste.
Yeah.
Which is pretty hard.
Yeah. Yep. Life total changed very quickly.
Yes, I think turn 4 I was swinging for 10 damage.
Yes.
In one of our games.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. So the decks that just kind of didn't get there. White, black, vampires.
I am so sad. You have the top end, and you have...
I have the Legion's Landing.
Not quite the bottom end.
I have 1/2 drop. That is a vampire, and that's the 1/3 flyer.
Yeah.
I have none of the lifelinkers. I have none of the black 2/2s.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the 3s except for the Queen's Commission.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got 3 Legion... Not Legion.
Yes, 3 Legionnaires.
Legion 3 Conquistadors.
Yeah, I just opened the 3rd one yesterday.
So that's, nothing.
I have 2 2s. I also have a couple of the Kinjali Collars, the ones that discount your dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. You have 2 of those and 2 Otepec Huntmasters. So I'm like, maybe red-white dinos. But then we looked at your 4 Colossal Dreadmaws, and you're not playing those in that deck. So I'm like,
yeah,
no.
The rest of my dinosaur top end just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I am not fortunate enough, like some people, to have, 3 dinosaur rares, or the mythic, or like some people who I played against yesterday. I hate you all.
You know who you are.
So I think this might be the best deck for me to trade into. At the very least, I just have more fun playing it.
I suspected at the pre-release that if there was in sealed, which this still basically is,
kind of, yeah.
If there wasn't a really strong direction for you to be in, red-green was going to be the best just average deck. Yeah. And I think that has really worn out.
Yeah, I mean, the Repeating Barrage is great, because it actually won me a couple of games yesterday, just being able to buy it back, because I will almost always be attacking anyway, so the raid trigger's always on.
It feels really good to have 2 of them.
Plus, I'm only running 8 or 16 lands, but multiple games I still got out 8 mana, so I can do it all at once.
Well, most of your creatures explore.
Yeah.
In that deck.
No, that's the blue-green deck. In my red deck, I don't have... My red-green deck, I don't have any Explore.
You don't have the... Oh, no, that's right.
That's why they don't share any cards.
That's right.
Basically, in the red-green deck, the only green I'm running are my Dreadmaws.
Right.
And a couple of random creatures and a Pounce. Oh, and my Trample.
3 Crash.
Yes, we just decided, Steph and I, to swap one in for the 4 mana 5/5 that can't block or attack.
So this is interesting, because when I was pulling apart the deck to look at it, I can't remember what it's called, but the thing that can't attack or block alone, I asked Laura what she thought of it, because I have not been able to pin down whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
And
I still don't know how I feel. Some games it's great, some games it's dreadful.
I just don't think it's good. Like, it seems like it should be good. Those things usually are good. Mob Flunkies is fine.
Attacking.
But it doesn't do enough.
The problem is, if I only had that in a Huntmaster out, You're not attacking with my Huntmaster.
Right.
So, yes, just yesterday I opened up my 3rd, the +3 and Trample combat trick. So,
the Crash the Ramparts.
It's
funny, because with the Crash the Ramparts in hand, I could see you attacking with the Huntmaster.
Yeah.
You know?
So, anyways, we decided it might be best to swap out the, I think it's the Horncrest or something.
Bonded Horncrest.
Yeah, that's right. With the 3rd Crash the Ramparts, just because I'm only running those 3 combat tricks plus an unfriendly fire plus my Repeating Barrage, and the rest are all dinosaurs.
And
basically,
we decided that the Bonded Horncrest and the Crash the Ramparts basically do the same job, but one of them has trample.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
it's interesting thinking about it that way.
Yeah. So, at least I have a firm direction, because like I said, even if this isn't necessarily the best deck, the point of League is to have fun.
Yeah.
And this is definitely the deck I'm enjoying playing more, just because it feels so much better when you're behind.
I feel
like, I could still draw a 6/6, give it haste, attack,
Yeah.
then draw an unfriendly fire and kill them.
Yeah.
Like, I can still do that. I don't have to wait for my 2/1 flyers to peck in over 5 turns.
And we looked, like, we put together white-red. We didn't look
Blue
at
white,
blue-red.
we did. No, not blue-red, but I don't have I don't have enough. My red is almost all dinosaurs. I don't have it. I have 2 of the 3 mana 3/3s that can't block, and that's basically it for red pirates.
Yeah.
So we looked at blue-black, though.
Yeah.
And blue-white. And red-white.
We also didn't look at black-green, but I really don't think that's there. You don't even have a chupacabra.
Sure don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you had a chupacabra, it would be worth looking at.
Yeah, but I don't, so it's not. So that was kind of, League. So the store owner is heavily trading into the Merfolk deck because his deck's already disgusting. So he might be someone to trade with next week because he's got a couple of dinosaur things, but he's also in green, so he might not be the best choice.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I have an idea of where I want to go from here.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm looking forward to making up my matches.
I'm looking forward to that too, and getting more trades if possible, because my deck is already really strong, but I feel like there are ways to shore it up. I just don't know what those are yet.
Sure. So you guys are going to be making up your matches over the next week, and then possibly finishing things up next Tuesday, which is our official makeup week, where everybody goes in and gives anybody who needs to catch up a chance to, and then we all crack packs of value and go home.
Yep. Which sounds like fun.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what do we want to do next? We've got what's coming up on Twitch this weekend. I guess.
Yeah.
What is coming up on Twitch this weekend?
Essentially, just a couple of GPs.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah. Austin?
Nope, Atlanta, I think.
Atlanta. It's Georgia. And Warsaw, which is Poland.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really interesting. If you want to check that out, that's on Magic's actual Twitch channel.
And I assume SCG will be streaming the one from Atlanta.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so.
That one's standard. I'm not 100% sure about Warsaw, but probably.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I don't think it actually said. That's strange.
No.
So, anyways, just some interesting things to watch this weekend. I don't know how interesting a standard GP is going to be. But at least recently, SCG has been providing their commentators with bingo boards.
I like that.
That's
I love this idea.
It's just giving them something to fill the spaces in between, when people are resolving mulligans or sideboarding. It just gives them something to kind of poke at each other with.
So tell me what this is.
Yeah, so basically they've been given these bingo boards. So, for example, for the Legacy one, which I've just been watching now, it happened a weekend or two ago, they've been given turn 1 Grizzlebrand, or shuffles with Ponder, or has 2 lands on the battlefield that don't tap for mana.
So if any of these things happen, they get the mark, and then they're looking for bingo.
Yeah.
That's really cute.
Hilarious.
So then, of course, they're like, come on, I just need you. I just need you to shuffle off of this Ponder. You don't want those cards. You don't want those cards.
That's awesome.
So
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I mean, SCG, generally speaking, is a bit more casual than Wizards coverage, which we were actually talking about a bit earlier.
I was so sad when I realized so the people at the shop or GP or whatever who are just way too serious for words, we call them playhards.
Yes.
And Wizards is kind of like a playhard at their own game. It's like their coverage, we want to be an esport. In a lot of ways, they don't have the fun that like Star City Games can.
And there absolutely is a place for serious play, and we all are very competitive people, and we like to be serious. But there's also that old Will Wheaton adage, "Don't be a dick," which unfortunately some people don't adhere to. And
not that we're calling Wizards a dick, because that would be impolite.
Not at all. No.
No, but I can't remember where the quote is from. But somebody asked somebody else, "Do you always make jokes?" And the response was, "Only about things that matter." And that is almost like an unofficial motto for me, because it really does affect how intensely we can care about things.
Sure.
If we are able to, in a sense, make fun of them or make light of the things that don't always make sense.
Yeah.
So
Well, look, if I'm playing Magic, I'm for stakes. I'm there to be serious.
Yeah.
Sure.
If I'm watching Magic, I'm there for fun.
Yeah, you want it to look fun.
Yeah, and I want the commentators to be bickering. That's why, Patrick Sullivan and Cedric Phillips are just amazing.
Yeah.
Because they have the chemistry of working together for so long, and they're both very funny people. And, Patrick plays a straight man, and SCG tends to have really fun coverage, whereas Wizards tend to have slightly more serious. But yeah, so that's what's coming up this weekend.
All right.
So lastly, Steppard.
Okay, I have a card here. This is. Did we name this segment? Is it like?
What does Step have in his hand?
What does Step have in his hand? It's a magic card.
Oh my god!
So this is a creature. It's a 2/2 flyer, and when it dies, you put it on top of its owner's library.
2/2 flyer must be blue.
Okay.
It should be a phoenix, though. Even though it is probably blue, it should be a phoenix because it keeps rising.
Is it?
It's blue-red. It
So,
rises from the ashes.
Is it a phoenix? All right.
We're sure that the actual card is not is it, but the card that we would make
Yes.
is it.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So a 2/2, I would just call it blue-red because it's not optional, so sometimes it's a drawback.
Okay. Blue-red is the casting cost.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So...
Yeah. So it's a creature type phoenix. It's a 2/2 flyer that when it dies, you put it on top of its owner's library. Yeah. Okay.
What blue creature type is it? Because phoenixes are red. We need a blue creature type to go with this.
I don't know. There's drakes. There are...
Phoenix Drake.
Yeah.
Phoenix Drake. I mean, you could just split off and Tams thinks it's a phoenix and you could...
Well, see, I actually kind of think maybe it's an elemental phoenix.
Ooh, I like that.
Like
yes.
the air
All phoenixes elemental?
Well, that's why it's such a good combination of cards.
I like it.
Because air elemental is an elemental, right?
That's fair. I like the concept of, say, an illusory phoenix, but I always like illusions to have the illusion ability.
Yeah, it would absolutely have the illusion ability. Okay, Tams, so what are we calling it? Is it for real?
That's good. It's so good. Okay, so what are we actually looking at?
So I would say it's probably 3 in a blue for a 2/2.
Yeah?
That would be my guess.
And you still think it's a phoenix?
Yeah, I'm going to call it a phoenix.
All right. Well, what we have is Dark Revenant.
Oh, no. It's a black card.
It's black.
3 and a black. And when I say it's a spirit, that'll kind of make sense.
When you said black, suddenly I was like, okay, that makes sense, but black doesn't usually get 2/2 flyers with flying, except for when they do.
Yeah, except for when they do, right?
Yeah.
Like, black has some flying. They're usually bigger flyers, right? Like demons.
This set currently has a 3-mana 2/2 vampire that drains your opponent.
Okay. Anyway, this is a 4-mana 2/2 flyer, which doesn't seem great.
Yeah, the cost was right.
There you
go. And when it dies, put it on top of its owner's library. So I actually don't think this is very good.
No, I don't. Like I said, the fact that it's a must makes it kind of a drawback because sometimes you do not want to be drawing this.
Yeah.
No.
Although, if you can control the board, this seems like a fine finisher. Like, it's a 2/2 flyer. It'll get there, right?
10 turns.
Maybe. Yeah.
If they don't have something bigger.
Which set is this from?
This is from Return to Ravnica. I don't know if it's originally printed there, but I would think so, probably.
Interesting. Well, that was cool.
I kind of prefer our version.
I really do too.
So,
as soon as you said
Wizard
Phoenix,
Death Team,
I'm like,
we are available for hire.
Right.
Yeah.
We might not balance the cards right, but
we're going to be fun.
That's not the designer's job anyway.
That's right.
We can flavor all day long.
Cool.
So that was super fun.
All right. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. So I guess that's our show, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us and for
putting up with Draft Cat.
Is getting the scritching of his life. So until next week.
Have fun and play lots of Magic.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Cool.